Breaking news! Something unusual is happening behind the scenes in Baltimore, something the Ravens haven't done in over a decade. Names are circulating, interviews are piling up, and the franchise is deliberately withholding the green light. But why? Why are the Ravens hesitating while other teams are already appointing their head coaches? What are they really waiting for? What do they know that we don't? This might not just be a search for a new head coach. It could be a complete strategic trap set by the front office, and the answer could shake the entire AFC. But before we go any further, don't forget to like this post if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages supporting this team. And if you want, comment, "Go Ravens," to show your purple pride in the comments below. Let's go. The Ravens have officially begun their second round of in-person interviews for the head coach position. As of this week, 3 names stand at the front of the line: Anthony Weaver, Joe Brady, and Jesse Minter. All 3 are highly respected, intriguing candidates with strong resumes. But here's the kicker: this might not be the end of the list. Despite Steve Bisciotti previously mentioning a pool of 4 or 5 finalists, it's becoming increasingly clear that Baltimore's brass could stretch that number to 6 or even 7. Why? Because they're staying patient, and that patience could be a power move. It's a calculated strategy. The Ravens aren't just racing against the clock, they're controlling it. Other teams are snatching up candidates left and right, as seen when the Titans moved swiftly to hire Robert Saleh. But Baltimore? They're playing chess. They know what they want, and they're not rushing the checkmate. Let's break down these 3 current candidates. Anthony Weaver, the former Texans defensive coordinator and current Ravens assistant head coach, brings familiarity and a defensive-minded approach. He knows the culture, understands the expectations, and has the leadership demeanor to galvanize this locker room. But is that enough? Joe Brady, meanwhile, is a name that's suddenly surging up the Ravens' interest board. Previously overlooked by many fans and analysts alike, Brady has deep ties to South Florida, the same roots as Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers. That connection isn't just a fun fact. It could become a cornerstone. At just 36, Brady already has stints with the Saints, LSU, yes, that 2019 Joe Burrow LSU team, the Panthers, and most recently, the Bills. He's young, innovative, and gaining steam in the Ravens front office. And then there's Jesse Minter, a name that might surprise some, but not those paying close attention. Minter is turning heads across the league, including in Las Vegas, where he just completed a second interview with the Raiders. He's now set to meet with the Ravens later this week. That's significant. If the Ravens truly see Minter as their guy, they'll need to move fast, just as the Titans did with Saleh. But if they wait, it may signal something even bigger. Minter might not be the top choice. He's a strong contender, no doubt, but patience at this stage may point to even stronger names still coaching in the playoffs. Because let's be honest, while the second round interviews are happening now, next Monday opens the door for a whole new wave of candidates. That's when teams can officially speak with coaches still in the postseason. Names like Kubiak, Chris Shula, and Davis Webb could shake up the entire landscape. Davis Webb in particular is gaining serious traction around the league, with buzz about how he blew away Sean Payton in an interview. The Bills are reportedly desperate to keep him. That says something. So the big question becomes, will Baltimore strike this week and lock in someone like Minter, Weaver, or Brady? Or are they just setting the table for the real feast next week? In the meantime, another name entered the mix: Darren Rizzi, the Broncos special teams coordinator. If that interview materializes, he would be the Ravens' 17th head coach candidate in this cycle. Yes, 17. That shows just how thorough and expansive this search has been. First-round interviews are still trickling in while second-round discussions are underway. It's an all-out evaluation blitz, and the Ravens are leaving no stone unturned. Now, here's something fans have been speculating heavily about: Lamar Jackson's involvement. These second-round interviews are in person, behind closed doors, and likely include Steve Bisciotti himself. But is Lamar sitting in those meetings? Is he part of the panel? Nobody outside that room truly knows. But it's a fair question to ask, and an important one. After all, the next head coach needs to not only lead the franchise but also elevate Lamar's game, build around his strengths, and ensure he thrives in this next chapter. Adding to the intrigue, reports have surfaced that John Harbaugh, yes, our former longtime head coach, is bringing familiar faces with him to New York. There's buzz about Todd Monken potentially joining him as offensive coordinator, and rumors, even if premature, about free agents and current players being linked to the Giants. Tyler Linderbaum's name was floated, but realistically, the Ravens aren't letting a cornerstone center like him hit the market. Expect an extension. Still, Harbaugh's presence in New York marks a symbolic end to one era and the dawn of another. Teddy Buchanan's rise is another bright spot. As the only Raven to make the all-rookie team, his development and poise caught the attention of Roquan Smith and fans alike. His knack for learning quickly and avoiding repeated mistakes bodes well for his long-term future in the linebacker core. A true diamond in the rough who is expected to be fully healthy and ready to go next season. There's no question the Ravens are walking a tightrope here, balancing urgency with precision. But as we look at how this unfolds, we need to understand something. The Ravens aren't just hiring a coach. They're defining the identity of the next era of Baltimore football. The decision to wait could be interpreted in two very different ways. Some fans might feel the front office is moving too slow, missing out on candidates as other teams make their hires. But when you really zoom in, it becomes clear that this could be exactly what separates the Ravens from the rest. Steve Bisciotti, Eric DeCosta, and company aren't playing for headlines or trying to win the hiring cycle. They're playing for championships. And if they truly believe that someone like Kubiak or Davis Webb, or even Chris Shula, is worth waiting for, then every passing day could be part of the master plan. Kubiak, for instance, has been a favorite among fans and insiders for weeks. His background, his offensive innovation, his communication style, all of it screams modern NFL. While he's still coaching deep into the playoffs, his name has been consistently linked to Baltimore, and there's a growing sense that he's very much in the mix. The Ravens clearly haven't forgotten him. They're just waiting for their shot to talk face to face. Davis Webb, on the other hand, is a wild card. He doesn't have the long coaching resume that others do, but what he lacks in experience, he makes up for in presence, intelligence, and relatability. For a franchise with a young offensive core led by Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, and Isaiah Likely, Webb's style might be exactly the kind of voice that resonates. He's impressed across multiple interviews this cycle, and don't be surprised if the Ravens want to sit down with him next week before making their final call. In the meantime, the candidates already in the room are no pushovers. Weaver has commanded respect inside the organization for years. He's viewed as a strong leader with deep ties to the Ravens culture, and if they're looking to preserve continuity, especially on defense, he could be the one. The question is whether Baltimore wants to go defense again or pivot to the offensive side of the ball. That brings us back to Joe Brady. His stock continues to rise not just because of his resume, but because of the emotional connection he might bring to the locker room. The fact that he's a South Florida native matters more than most fans realize. That region isn't just where Lamar is from, it's a tight-knit brotherhood, and having a coach who understands that culture could be huge. Chemistry isn't just a buzzword, it's a factor in real success. If Brady can bring the same energy and creativity that made LSU's offense historic in 2019, paired with a strong bond to key players, he may become the dark horse that surprises everyone. Meanwhile, Jesse Minter's profile keeps gaining traction. His ability to simplify defensive concepts and keep his players on the same page is something Roquan Smith has privately praised. Minter's rise has been fast, but not accidental. He's sharp, detailed, and respected across the league. His second interview with the Ravens might be the most crucial of them all, and the fact that other teams like the Raiders are making aggressive moves toward him adds more pressure. If Baltimore doesn't act soon, they might miss their window. Then there's the question of succession. With John Harbaugh now officially a New York Giant, you have to wonder, will this next coach define the team for the next decade, like Harbaugh did? Or is this a shorter bridge to the next phase? That, too, shapes how the front office thinks. And speaking of Harbaugh, there's a very real concern about what kind of talent he might pull with him to New York. Coaches, assistants, even depth players. Todd Monken is heavily rumored to follow him as offensive coordinator. That's significant. Continuity in coaching has always been one of Baltimore's competitive advantages. Losing not just Harbaugh, but a piece of that coaching infrastructure could impact the team more than fans anticipate. Players like Daniel Falale may be more realistic targets than Linderbaum, but any departures at this point add urgency to hiring the right leader, and fast. Then there's the locker room itself. These players, especially veterans, want to know what direction this team is heading. Is the next coach going to bring stability or shake things up? Will it be another defensive-first era, or a pivot to a more offensive-minded Ravens identity? There's no middle ground here. This choice sets the tone for everything: free agency, the draft, development, and even locker room morale. One thing's for sure, the Ravens are doing their homework. 17 candidates is not normal. That is extensive. That is elite-level diligence. They've cast a wide net for a reason, and as nerve-wracking